Hello, guys! Today I'm going to tell you a fun little story some of you might not know. The Titanic story. But not in a traditional way. We are special out here. I'll be using an app called Weka to show you some data about the Titanic while telling you the story. Enjoy! The story began in 1907, when a man called Thomas Andrews began to oversee the plans for 3 new ocean liners, which are passenger ship, primarily used as a form of transportation across seas or oceans. They were the RMS Olympic, the RMS Titanic, and the RMS Britannic ship. All 3 ships were designed by William Peary and General Manager Alexander Carlisle, along with Andrews, to be the largest, safest, and most luxurious ships at sea. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage, traveling from Southampton, England, to New York City, so people got on board after they filled their personal information. You can see here 891 persons' information, such as their age, which class ticket they had, how many people are traveling with them, and more. It's all organized here as follow. P class is the class of ticket of a specific passenger. There are 3 distinct values: 1, 2, and 3. P class 1 is the best and more expensive. Sex is an attribute which has 2 distinct values of type categorical, nominal, female, and male. 577 instances were males. In fact, the ship crew mostly male. Age attribute of type numerical. As we can see, the minimum age was about 0.42 equals to 5 months, and maximum age was 80 years. SIPSP is the number of family members or siblings of a passenger. It has 7 numerical distinct values and no missing values. We can notice that most of the passengers have no siblings and came alone. Fare is how much a passenger pays for the ticket. There are no mining values and has numerical distinct values. It shows the ticket's price, which start from 0 to 512 pounds. 0 pounds means the ticket is free, which is for ship crew. Cabin, the number of cabin, which is a place where passengers stay during ship trip. It is a categorical type with 147 distinct values. It has 687 missing values, which equals to 77% of all passengers that did not have a cabin attribute in their tuple. Embarked, picking up passengers from 3 different places: Port Southampton, Cherbourg, and Queenstown. It has 2 missing values. Let me show you an example to understand better. First, we go to Edit to see the whole data. Now look at the second instance, for example. She is a 38 years old female on first class with 1 family member. Her ticket costs £71.833 and she had been staying in cabin C85. She got on board at Cherbourg Port. Back to story, unfortunately, 4 days later. Specifically on April 14th, the ship hit an iceberg and started sinking into the deep ocean. The ship had about 2,240 passengers and crew on board and only 20 lifeboats with a capacity of 1,178 person. But over 1,500 person lost their souls that night and only 705 survived. So they had to add an extra column. Survive column, which in our case is the class label. There are 2 distinct values, either 0 or 1, and there are no missing values. From the visualization part, we can see 549 instances labeled as 0 did not survive and 342 instances labeled as 1 who survived. Now let's look at more insights from some columns to understand and get more details about who survived and why. Looking at sex column, we can get an insight from the visualization part that most of males out of 577 instances did not survive. Compared to females, most of females out of 314 instances did service, so females have higher survival rate. It might because of law of sea, which indicates that women and kids should use the lifeboat first, and the ship crew were helping them first. And from the age column, we can get an insight from the visualization part that the children between 5 months and 5 years were survived. Most of passenger were in 4 buckets from 14 to 33 years old, but the highest bucket was from 28 to 33 years. It might because a big number of passengers were actually ship crew who were working in the ship. In fact, most vessels require a crew of 2 personnel consisting of officers, master, first engineer, specialist technicians, electricians, mechanics, and lower-level crews or ratings deck hands, cooks, and oilers, and more. Another reason is that most of them was immigrated to America. In the fare column, we can see passenger who paid 0 to 18 pounds did not survive, and most of them was from ship crew. Lastly, from the embarked column, we can see 644 instances were from Southampton, and most of them did not survive. And 168 instances were from Cherbourg, and half of them did survive, according to passenger from Queenstown. More than half instances out of 77 did not survive. Before filtering the dataset, we will go to have a look on our dataset. As shown in the table, there are 8 columns, or so-called attributes, and 891 rows, or so-called instances. And as you can see, the cabin column has some missing entries. Let's apply some filters to the dataset. First, let's apply a filter to impute missing values in an incomplete attribute. We go to Filter section, then go to Unsupervised, then Attribute, then we select Replace Missing Values filter. Before the edit, we saw that there were some missing values in the cabin column and in the embarked column as well. But after applying the filter, we can see that the missing values in those 2 columns are now 0. Now let's try to apply a sampling filter to reduce data size. Before applying the filter, you can see that the sample size is 891. To apply the filter, we go to Filter, then Unsupervised, then Attribute. Then we select Resample and select the sample size percentage. We need to make sure that our sample will be representative to our data. Let's select 80%, for example. Notice now we have only 712 instances. Finally, let's try to apply a discretize filter on the age column. We go to Filter, then Unsupervised, then Attribute, and select Discretize. Then you have to select the attribute you want to change. In this case, it's age. After that, select the number of intervals you want. Here, I want 10 bins or 10 intervals. Now you can see that we have 10 distinct values, and the data type changes from numerical to nominal. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.